Good morning, students. Welcome back. Today we will learn about seasonal classification of crops. On the basis of the season crops are grown, crops are classified in three parts. That is Rabi crops, Kharif crops, and Zaid crops. Rabi crops. These crops are grown in winter season, that is in the month of October to November, and are harvested after maturation in the month of March and April. The major rabi crops that are grown in these season are wheat, gram, pea, sugarcane. So rabi crops are those crops which are grown in winter and are harvested in the month of March and April. You need to remember R for rabi, but it will not go with rainy, opposite to rainy. R for rabi, R for rainy, but we have to remember that rabi crops are not grown in rainy season, but instead of that it is grown in winter season. And examples of rabi crops: wheat, gram, pea, sugarcane, etc. Mustard, linseed, cauliflower, carrot, these all are the crops which are grown in winter season, are called rabi crops. Coming to next one, that is kharif crops. Kharif crops are those crops which are grown in rainy season. In previous we studied rabi crops which is not grown in rainy season. Instead of that it is grown in winter season. Now when we are learning kharif crops are grown in rainy season. That is in the month of June, July and are harvested in September, October. The major crops cultivated as kharif crops are paddy, rice, soyabean, maize, arhar, gram, basically black gram, cotton, millets, etc. These are the crops which are grown in rainy season, are called kharif crops. Now there are some crops which are basically called summer season crops and are grown from April to June and harvested by the month of August September. Such crops involve cucumber, melons, and these crops are called Zaid crops. So Zaid crops are the crops which are grown in summer season. Rabi crops are the crops which are grown in winter season, and Kharif crops are the crops which are grown in rainy season. For the proper growth of the crops, each crop require different climatic condition. That is why some crops are grown in winter season, some in rainy season and some in summer season. For its proper growth, each crop always requires different climatic condition, that is temperature, photoperiod, that means sunlight. Photoperiod is the length of the day during which sunlight is available to the plant. What is photoperiod? Photoperiod is the length of the day during which sunlight is available to the plant. And the plants can respond to the relative length of the daylight and the darkness. Plants' growth, maturation respond to the amount of the sunlight they are getting. This phenomenon is called photoperiodism. Photoperiod directly affect various physiological activities. Physiological activity means physical activities such as flowering, leaf fall, formation of storage organs, etc. According to the length of the photoperiod, flowering plants are divided into three categories. That is long day plant, short day plant and day neutral plant. According to the length of photoperiod, flowering plants, the plants which bear flower, which we cultivate or grow for flowering purposes, are classified in three categories: long day plant, short day plant and day neutral plant. Now let us study about classification, differentiation of Rabi crops and Kharif crops on different parameters. First parameters which we are taking, that is season. On the basis of season, what is the difference between Kharif and Rabi crops? On the basis of season, Rabi crops are grown during winter season, whereas Kharif crops are grown during rainy season. This is the first difference. Now second difference, period of cultivation. What is the period of cultivation for Rabi crops? For Rabi crop, period of cultivation is from October to April, because by the month of October to November these crops are grown, and by the month of March April these crops are harvested. So what is the period of cultivation? The period of cultivation for this crop is from October to April. What is the period of cultivation for Kharif crop? That is, by the month of June July Kharif crops are grown, and by the month of September to October it is harvested. That means from June to October is the period of cultivation for Kharif crop. Now, third point of differentiation, that is requirement of water. How much of the water do Rabi crops or Kharif crops require? As we have learned that Rabi crops are grown in winter season, so the water requirement is average. Average amount of water is required for the cultivation of Rabi crops as per they are grown in winter season, whereas Kharif crops which are grown in rainy season, that means the month during which maximum amount of rainfall is experienced. That means Kharif crops require very large amount of water for their cultivation. Fourth point, disease sensitivity. Are they sensitive to disease or not? More sensitive to the pathogenic organisms. Rabi crops are more sensitive to pathogenic organisms. That means wheat basically get affected or get spoiled due to pathogens. So they are more sensitive to pathogens. Whereas Kharif crops, the crops which are grown in winter season, they are not very much of sensitive but are less sensitive to pathogens. Rabi crops are more sensitive to pathogen, whereas Kharif crops are less sensitive to pathogen. Now moving toward next differentiation point, that is harvesting period. By what time Rabi crops are harvested? Rabi crops are harvested by the month of March, April. So the harvesting period is short. By the month of October, November are grown, and by the month of March, April they are harvested. That means how long time do they require for their proper maturation? 4-5 months. Whereas Kharif crops, they have a long harvesting period. They have long harvesting period. Coming to next, number of crops. When we are talking about number of crops in winter season, the number of crops grown in winter season is enough. That means more. Whereas during rainy season, that is crops, Kharif crops, due to water sensitivity, the crop range is very limited. Not very large number of crops are grown during rainy season. That's why we even face vegetable shortage, grain shortage during rainy season. Some examples of Kharif crops, some examples of Rabi crops, wheat, gram, pea, sugarcane, mustard, carrot, barley, cauliflower, etc. Some examples for Kharif crops, that is green gram, cotton, soybean, rice, maize, groundnut, etc. Thank you.